Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to dig into some 2,500-year-old wisdom today from the one and only Confucius to tackle a question that feels, well, surprisingly modern.
You know, we've all seen it happen. Someone who's courageous becomes reckless. Someone who's honest becomes just plain rude. It really gets you thinking, how can a good thing, a virtue, go so wrong? Why do our best intentions sometimes just blow up in our faces? Let's get into it.
All right, so for our first case, I want you to picture this. We're traveling back in time to the ancient city of Wuchang. And who's in charge? A guy named Ziyu, who happens to be one of Confucius's star pupils. The big man himself, Confucius, decides to drop by and see how his student is doing.
So as Confucius gets closer to the city, he starts to hear something. Music. Lutes, singing, the whole deal. Now, you have to understand, for Confucius, this is a big deal. It's not just party music. To him, music and rituals are the bedrock of a good, harmonious society. So he's definitely pleased. But he's also a teacher, right? So he decides to throw his student a little curveball, just a playful test. He kind of smirks and asks this. Basically, he's just ribbing Zio. He's saying, "Hey, this is a pretty small town you've got here. Are you sure you need all this fancy stuff? This high-level education and music? Isn't that a bit like using a giant ox cleaver just to kill a little chicken? Total overkill, right?"
But Ziyu, wow, his answer is just perfect. He doesn't get rattled or defensive at all. He just calmly explains, "Master, I remember what you taught us. When leaders learn the way, they learn to love the people. And when the people learn the way, they're easier to guide." See what he did there? He's not just spitting back a rule he memorized. He gets the why behind it. He's internalized the lesson. And Confucius loved this. He turns to his other disciples right then and there and says, "Yep, his words are right. I was just joking around." I mean, this is it. This is the A+ student, the gold standard. Ziyu gets it. He doesn't just know the rules. He knows how to use them wisely. Remember this guy, Ziyu. He's our benchmark. Okay, so that was case number one, the ideal student. Now let's flip the script. We're going to look at a much messier situation with a totally different kind of student. His name is Zilu. Super loyal, but also, let's just say he's a bit of a hothead, and this is where the real drama begins.
So here's the setup. Confucius gets an invitation from a guy named BC. The catch? BC is holding a city in open rebellion. He's a political dissident, a rebel. And get this, Confucius is actually considering the meeting. For Zilu, who sees himself as his master's #1 protector, this is a full-on 5-alarm crisis. He can't believe it. So Zilu, being Zilu, doesn't hesitate. He goes right up to Confucius and calls him out on it. And he even uses Confucius's own words against him. He says, "Master, I've heard you say that a gentleman doesn't get involved with someone who's doing evil. So what are you even thinking?" For Zilu, this is completely black and white. BC equals bad guy. Gentlemen don't hang out with bad guys. Simple as that. And right here, this is the heart of the whole issue. You see the clash, right? For Zilu, the rule is absolute. It's a concrete wall. You just don't cross it. But for Confucius, the rule is more like a tool in a toolbox. He's thinking pragmatically. He's wondering, hey, what if I could talk to this guy? Maybe I could make a positive change. Maybe even stop this rebellion. He's focused on the greater good.
So Confucius pushes back, and he uses these incredible analogies. He says, "Is it not said of something truly hard that you can grind it, but it won't be made thin? And of something truly white that you can try to dye it, but it won't be made black?" He's basically telling Zilu, look, my character, my virtue is solid. It's not going to get corrupted just by meeting with this person. I'm not that fragile.
And then he drops the mic with this line. He asks, "How can I be like a bitter gourd, just hung up to be looked at, but never eaten?" What an image, right? He's saying, is my wisdom just for decoration? Am I just supposed to sit here looking wise? No way. His knowledge is meant to be put to use, to get out there and make a difference in the messy, complicated, real world.
So this whole tense debate, it's not just an argument between a teacher and his student. It's a setup. It's the perfect teaching moment. And it's what allows Confucius to finally lay out the core idea of his entire philosophy, the thing that separates Zio's wisdom from Zilu's rigidity. He looks right at Zilu and asks him point blank, "Have you heard of the 6 words and their 6 vices?" And Zilu, for all his confidence and loyalty, just has to admit, "No, master, I haven't." And that's it. Confucius realizes that's the missing piece. That's what Zilu doesn't get yet.
And what comes next? Wow, it's basically the master key to everything. Confucius explains that loving benevolence, but not loving learning, just leads to being a fool.
Loving courage, but not loving learning, leads to chaos and disorder. Every single one of these noble virtues, he says, if you pursue it without a genuine love of learning to guide it, will rot and turn into a destructive vice. And you can see this is aimed squarely at Xylo, right? It's a critique, but a gentle one. Xylo's courage in protecting his master, that's a great virtue. His straightforwardness in asking the tough questions, also a virtue. But, and this is the big but, because those virtues weren't shaped by a deeper kind of learning, they were turning into disorder and plain old rudeness.
So that leads to the big question, doesn't it? What on earth does Confucius actually mean by learning? Because Zilu memorized the rule perfectly. Clearly, it's got to be more than just book smarts or memorization. It's something else entirely.
For Confucius, learning is the secret sauce. It's this ongoing process. Yeah, you study, but then you have to reflect. You have to think deeply about it. And the most crucial part, you have to use your judgment to figure out how to apply it to messy, real-life situations. It's the thing that takes the raw ingredient of a good intention and cooks it into a wise action.
So think about it like this. Learning is the bridge that gets you from I mean well to I did the right thing. It's what our star student Zio had. It let him take a big idea and apply it perfectly to his small town. And it's exactly what our hot-headed student, Zilu, was missing when he just tried to slam a rule down on a complicated problem. Learning is how you handle all the gray areas in life.
You know, it's pretty amazing how a 2,500-year-old story can hit so close to home. What it's telling us is that to really be a good person, to actually make a positive impact, it's not enough to just have your heart in the right place. You also have to have a mind that's sharp, that's thoughtful, and that never, ever stops learning.
So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. Think about the virtue that you value most in yourself. Maybe it's honesty, maybe it's courage, maybe it's loyalty. Now ask yourself, how are you using learning to shape it? How are you making sure it's a tool for wisdom and not accidentally turning into its opposite?